Hello, everyone. Welcome, Silent Brief Podcast, episode 236. Today's episode, we got to preview the NBA playoffs. We're in the semifinal rounds, both in the East and the West. Two series kicked off about a day ago. We're recording on Tuesday night, and then two series kicked off tonight. So we'll give you our predictions for the series, and then of course we got to preview UFC. We had a numbered event this weekend going down in New Jersey, so we'll preview the main card and maybe some fights underneath that you might want to, pay some attention to. So, all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Let's jump right into the NBA. We got the semifinals going on as we speak. Detroit and the Cavs just finished game one of their series. But we'll start with the series that kicked off yesterday. I believe the first series that kicked off yesterday, Knicks, Sixers. Sixers coming off of beating Boston in a terrific Game 7 performance by Maxey and Embiid. Some contributions with, from Edgecombe and Paul George. And we got the Knicks who beat who did the Knicks beat? They beat the
Hawks.
Beat the Hawks in 6, belt to ass fashion. So who do we have winning this series? I'll start with you first, Jacob. Who do you have winning? How many games? Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's tricky. One game in, but based on how the Knicks looked in that Game 6, in which I think they went on 70-16 run at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen that in playoff basketball before. Then they went on to just pour it on against the Sixers. So definitely the Knicks found something. Maybe it was the Met Gala going on. They are absolutely on fire. Brunson's kind of back in his bag. Shout out to Philadelphia, though, taking down the big bad Sixers. I believe I was on here saying that Boston was going to beat Philly in 4 or 5 games. I was incredibly wrong there. Boston, live and die by the 3. And they certainly died by it. So shout out to Philadelphia for even making it to this point, in which I doubt anybody really trusted them to. But I like the Knicks in this series. I think Philly can probably get a game or two. I'm not doubting them again, but I'll go ahead and take the Knicks in 6 here.
Okay. Lawrence, what is your prediction for this series? Who you got and how many games?
I feel like this is going to be one of those games. I think it's going to be Knicks in 6, just like Jacob said. And for the pure purpose of, I just feel like this is going to be a series that just flips completely on its side when it goes back to Philly. I think Philly is probably going to take their 2 games at home. They're going to get some energy. And then you're just going to see where the back and forth goes at that point. But no, the Knicks absolutely built the ass on the Hawks. They immediately turned it right back up against the 76ers. They looked more tired. They looked more worn out from their, shrug of a series. They didn't get to go out on the same kind of heights. Being literally game over, literally like taking massage gun to legs, knowing you don't really have to try second half type energy. So I think with all that, I think the 76ers still have a shot when it turns back, and they're sleeping in their own beds each night. But I think the reason it has the ability to do that is I feel like there can be foul trouble if Embiid really gets rolling in a game. But I feel like the Knicks had the ability to pretty much nullify that early in a game by I would just say, once you start crushing your opponent, never stopping, never giving them the chance to breathe. Like, the Knicks do a great job, probably because, Tibbs last year, but going deep into the roster, or not the roster, but deep into their minutes on their starting unit, like on their first rotation. So maybe as 76ers, Embiid has to go out within 6-7 minutes. Well, Towns doesn't have to leave for the first 11 minutes of the game. So there's first quarter upside of 5 minutes, higher versus lower on the depth chart.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you guys. I got Knicks winning the series. I'm going to change it up, though. I got them winning in 7. I think Philly is probably the last team left in the East that really matches up well with the Knicks in terms of just length, positional size. They got bigs that can contest at the rim and also rebound and, big drum and Embiid. So if those two can stay healthy, can stay on the court, I think, they match up really well with New York. It just, at this point, it depends on who can win a game on the road. Whoever does that first is probably going to win this series, but I think the Knicks are probably the best team left in the East. Their only competition really this postseason was going to be the Celtics, and the Sixers already took care of them. So I don't really see anyone else really challenging them for that spot to come out the East. Sixers, like you said, Lawrence, they spent all their energy taking the Celtics to 7. They came back from a 3-1 deficit. So all the energy was spent on Saturday night. So coming into the game on Monday, they probably exhausted, not fully recharged, entering the series. Meanwhile, the Knicks had a couple days of extra rest in between series. So it was only natural to expect belt to ass. Probably not in this fashion, but certainly, I was expecting Philly to probably lose this game and probably game 2 as well. But I think whoever wins the first game on the road will probably win the series. I think Philly has, their 2 games are pretty winnable in Philly, games 3 and 4, and then it just becomes who wins the best 2 out of 3, and game 5, 6, and 7. So I'm gonna go Knicks. Next up, the other series that kicked off yesterday, we had the Spurs and we had the Timberwolves. What a surprise, though. Ant-Man came back. He was projected to come back possibly game 3, game 4 of this series. Earlier in the week, when he got hurt, after he got diagnosed with the bone bruise from his hyperextension that occurred. I think it was game 3 or 4. He hyperextended his knee. But he showed out last night in limited minutes. So with that being said, looks like both teams are pretty much at full strength. I think Io missed game 1, but he's probably going to come back at some point in the series. So pretty much they're both at full strength. Who do we have winning the series? I'll start with you first this time, Lawrence. Who you have winning and how many games?
I'm going to go Timberwolves, and I'm going to go Timberwolves if they play Anthony Edwards like they just did. I'm going to go Timberwolves in 5.
Whoa.
Strictly on the whole fact, I don't like the Spurs. They got an easy out first round. They played another team who doesn't have any playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't had any of the grind. It doesn't know how to take a series deep, any of that. Timberwolves found a way to get it done out their top guy. Have had the emergence of Jaden McDaniels like we've never seen another player really have in a long time in the playoffs. Rudy Gobert is working his title of being a defensive menace. He has size in terms of, built broadness. I ain't going to talk about height, but built broadness and mass has the advantage on Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
When games get close and they get tough at the end, Timberwolves seem to do good in those games and seem to win those. Timberwolves do a really good job at keeping opponents under 100 points. They did against the Nuggets. They did against the best MVP. Man 1, 2, or 3 MVPs in the last couple of years. Like they just completely shut down one man in a series when they needed to. I think that they have the dynamics to do it. Everyone's overlooking them as well because they're just not as good as the Spurs. The Spurs team, as good as it is, we were saying is like there might be a season away though. But then they just started doing all these awesome things. That's the regular season. Look through their roster. Stephon Castle, he's a really good in the NCAA tournament. Okay, I'm pretty sure this man has an NCAA tournament title.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Wemby played in France. He's probably played in the playoffs in France, but not in the NBA. Now, Timberwolves just went back to back in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference Championship back to back. So this ain't nothing new to them, and it's almost all the same guys. And then I look at De'Aaron Fox. This man just barely started going to the playoffs in the Kings. And were they awesome in there? No, they kind of sucked. They were kind of booty cheeks. So, who's supposed to give me – and then, okay, we go through the roster more. Harrison Barnes, he's got playoff experience. That man's also 40 years old. I'm
Okay.
scared of Harrison Barnes for Devon Vassell. He doesn't have any experience either. These are all guys who are learning on the spot in the playoffs as it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and we're underestimating what an actual proven contender is just because they had injuries finishing the season and their record just wasn't as good. But they already took game one, and Anthony Edwards only played 25 minutes.
Yeah. This is all true. This is all true. Jacob, do you have a rebuttal to this? What is your prediction for this series?
I would love to kind of come at Lawrence there, but you like respectfully, he does have a point. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily agree with him, but like hearing him out, the point's there. I mean, the Spurs are inexperienced. I'm going to take San Antonio. I'm going to take San Antonio in 7 games because I think the main thing that Lauren said that like I agree with is that this is going to be a series. Like I think Minnesota's a really good basketball team. They've proven that. They've got guys that have kind of been there and not to the full length of the playoffs, and not to the actual finals or won anything. But what it comes down to for me is that regardless of the Timberwolves' experience, the Spurs are the better basketball team, in my opinion. I could be wrong. We'll see. But I think the talent is going to win them some games. Minnesota's experience is probably going to win them some games.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to be signed up for a game 7 and just kind of see, better man wins. I still think that, I mean, you look at the game last night, they lost by 2 points. They lost on a game winning 3-pointer not going in. Victor Wembanyama had a terrible game. And it's so funny that I just said a man that had a triple double with 12 blocks, had a bad game.
Playoff record.
Because, he was 0 for 8 from 3. Like, the team's going to be fine. I think San Antonio, kind of like Lauren said, like, they don't have a lot of experience, NBA playoff experience. Castle did win the national championship with UConn, but I think these guys kind of needed a punch in the mouth. I think that they kind of rolled through the Trailblazers, and they needed someone to kind of push them. And I think, respectfully, this is the perfect test for the Thunder in the next round because, in my personal opinion, I think the Thunder are probably going to walk through the Lakers, and that'll be 2 straight series that the Thunder haven't really gotten pushed, whereas the Spurs are going to get pushed in this round, before the the eventual Thunder Spurs series that I've been begging for since like December. I like the Spurs still. Last night's game was a tricky one, but again, like they didn't play well and they lost by 2, and their best player had an off night. So I think the Spurs are going to be fine. I am excited for this series, and you got to think too. Like Anthony Edwards is only going to get healthier. I mean, he played 25 minutes off the bench. Every day that goes by, and he's feeling better. He's going to get more time, more shots up, and his impact is unmatched. I mean, everybody knows how good of a player he is, and I want to shout out to Anthony Edwards for playing through it. Because, like you said, Markel or Lynch, I forget who said it. He was supposed to be back game 3 or game 4, maybe later on in the series. But I heard middle of the day yesterday that he's pushing to play and he wants to play. He wants to be out there with his boys. Like, this is the playoffs, man. I mean, I'm a hockey guy at heart, and it's like dudes be playing hockey with broken backs and torn MCLs and stuff in the playoffs because it's the playoffs. You just do it. I'm not throwing shade on anybody that's not playing because of a legit injury, but the fact that he pushed so hard to play and be out there with his guys, like that just kind of exemplifies what kind of person and what kind of player Anthony Edwards is. So shout out to Ant-Man. And I still got the Spurs coming out of here in 7 games.
Okay, we got one Lawrence, Timberwolves, Jacob going with the Spurs. I'm gonna have to break the tie here. I'm gonna have to join my man Lawrence on this one. I got the Wolves. I had the Wolves in 7 before last night. We didn't get a chance to record, but I had the Wolves in 7 going into the series. After seeing last night, I'm going to have to say Wolves in 6. I'm not going to go as far as Lawrence to say Wolves in 5, but Wolves in 6, I think. Hey, the Wolves match up really well with the Spurs. I think person to person, kind of like how I talked about the last series, positional size. I think the Timberwolves are probably the only other team other than the Thunder that match up really well with the Spurs. So, Nas Reed, you got Gobert playing defensive player of the year, caliber defense on not only Jokic, but Wemby as well. Kind of threw Wemby off his game last night. And Ant-Man came off the bench and gave you, 18 points in 25 minutes. So just imagine if he gets the minutes restriction lifted and he can play, somewhere in the 30s, or if he needs to, if he can play 40 minutes plus a game. And the Timberwolves, like Lawrence said, they've been there, done that. They've been to the Western Conference Finals 2 out of the last 3 years. They've been in these situations before. They face adversity. They know how to how to handle playoff basketball. And the Spurs, I just have the feeling, man, it's just a year too early for them. I personally didn't see them being the number 2 seed this year. They had the ingredients to be a good team, but number 2 good, I didn't see that. So I think they just struck lightning in terms of regular season wins. And you kind of saw it with the Trailblazers series. Trailblazers, they only had Denny. And even then, the Trailblazers were pushing the Spurs in some of those games, even though they didn't get a chance to close out some of those games that they should have won. They were giving the Spurs problems, and the Blazers roster is nothing to really scoff at, but they really don't have anyone outside of Denny. So now you face the Wolves, where they got Jaden McDaniels. He's elevated his play. He's playing out of his mind. You got Terrence Shannon Jr., who is going crazy. He scored from all 3 levels, getting to the paint. He's not scared of Wemby. He says he's going to go to the paint hard every time, even if he knows Wemby's going to be there to potentially block it. You got Mike Conley hitting threes, timely threes, Randall rebounding and, doing Randall things. So,
and the IO guys coming back, like he's not going to stay out the whole series too. And then I'm pretty sure Bones Highland last night dropped 8. Like, you're telling me the 4th man on that roster just randomly walked in? Oh, he's second, the point guard. I didn't see that. But like Bones Highland randomly just dropped 8 last night. It was a big, helpful 8 points.
Yeah, so I just think the Wolves, they come in waves, man. Like there's no drop off really from when the next guy comes up into the lineup. In the head, they got the first game on the road. They're pretty if they lose game 2, they're fine because they're going back to Minnesota tied up, and then they have a pretty good chance of winning both games at home. So I just think the Spurs are a year too early. I think this will make them reevaluate things if they potentially lose a series. I think you'll see some changes. You'll see Wemby pushing for some changes to the roster because, they still have some deficiencies, mainly being Wemby getting him a starting caliber backcourt mate. I think Luke Cornett's not it. And no offense to Champagny, but he's just a streaky shooter at that. I don't really see any other value in Champagny other than being a streaky 3-point shooter.
Hustle guy. He's a hustle guy.
Hey, you can make a living being a hustle guy, but in terms of what I would personally want from starting backcourt mate from Wemby, that's not really what I would envision. But I think the Spurs, they got to hit a roadblock, man. They just can't go straight to the finals. Every team, True. Even I was talking to some guys at work today, even the big 3 Miami, they hit a roadblock. They didn't win their first year. They ran into the Dallas Mavericks. LeBron choked. And then the next year they got over the hump. We look at the Golden State Warriors, same thing. Look at LeBron's Cavs, the second go around. Every team has a roadblock, and I think this year the Wolves roadblock will be, or the Spurs roadblock will be the Wolves. So I got Wolves in 6. Long story short.
I will say one other thing going with the series is one of the weaknesses of De'Aaron Fox all those times and the Kings was his inability to shoot threes on a high, clip or, a good clip. That's just going to be one of the, he loves to drive into the paint. And like we're saying, Rudy Gobert can't really drive into the paint on that too often. Julius Randle, as much as we give him slack and, tarnish the name a little, sometimes he goes to sleep in playoff series.
Yeah, you're right.
He's hard to just push through in the paint. So one of their point guards' biggest strengths is running and dashing into the paint, which these kind of 2 guys do a good job of eliminating that. Sus as their points of getting less than 100 points these playoffs really efficiently. They made it hard for one of the best on the planet in Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they had that man really only shooting threes. And we know De'Aaron Fox can't shoot threes.
That's a good point, Lawrence. We'll see how this series plays out as we continue with these games. Next up, we got the games that are going on today. One just ended. Cavs, Detroit. Detroit, the number 1 seed, beating the Magic, coming back from a 3-1 deficit as well. And then the Cavs ending their series versus the Raptors the other night. Who do we have in this one, guys? I'll start with you first, Jacob. Who do you have winning and how many games?
I'm going to go with Detroit, but I will say before I kind of get started, I don't have a really good read on either of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them are kind of hard to predict. As you can see with their previous series, with both of their series going to 7 games, I thought the Cavaliers were definitely better than Toronto, and Toronto really pushed them all the way to 7 games, even without Ingram for Game 7. And then Detroit, I mean, they were down 3-1 to the Orlando Magic. Respectfully to all the Magic fans out there. I mean, I don't think anybody really saw that coming. So I do think Detroit, just because they are the 1 seed. Cleveland's a hard team to kind of put your finger on. I'll say Detroit in 6 because I do think Cleveland's going to get hot at some point. I think Detroit probably played with a lot of momentum today, coming off their big Game 7 win after the Game 6 comeback in which they were down 23 at halftime, which was nuts. Yeah, I think this is probably the Knicks conference, at least on paper right now. But I'll go Detroit. I think Cade's played amazing. He had an amazing first-round series. So I'll stick with Detroit, and I'll go probably 6 games here.
All right, Lawrence. Do you agree with Jacob? Do you have who do you have winning the series and how many games?
I mean, I'm going to take Detroit just because, on the pure fact that I think that they're flawed. The Cavaliers are flawed. Mm-hmm. I think that the Twin Towers doesn't work. We talk about it every year not working. And they re-roll it back out again, and then it doesn't work. And then we kind of look at the box score. I mean, I kind of alluded to it before, but like Jared Allen was in foul trouble the whole first half. So he's pretty much useless between that guard. So they couldn't run the game in how they wanted to run it. And overall, this man went 1 for 4 for the game, 1 and 4. He shot 1 and 4. So he didn't even do that good in the paint. And then one of the reasons why it was so hard for him to do something in the paint is the youth, I would just say, between, Duran, Thompson, I forget who else just pops in there on the paint, but
Stu.
It's more like Stu. It's more like the ability of like Thompson to be in a small forward position, but oddly enough, be able to play really strongly in the paint. Mm-hmm. Like the man's like what 6'9".
Him and his brother are big, yeah.
Yeah, it's like unconventional, and to a team that's supposed to be like taller than you, bigger than you, and like use that to their advantage. Kind of puts you at advantage when Jared Allen's much bigger, and then you got these 2 guys, and they're much younger, and then they're a little more agile, and they're very aggressive in there as well, very aggressive. And then Tobias Harris, for some reason, is always just hanging around, probably being the old guy, letting the 2 young guys do all the work, and it causes massive pressure down there. And it's already an area in which they're trying to clog up because they got the 2 towers. And then I would just add on to that. I feel like if Mitchell has not come to life and has not been like star power awesome this whole playoff series, or not playoff series, this whole playoffs. He was like non-existent like every single game in the Raptors series outside of like the first 2 games. Like this man he wasn't amazing. He had like 24 a night, 23 a night. Like, Chuck and Shaq talk about like, oh man, you're the best player on the team. You got to be dropping 30. This man wasn't even come close to dropping 30. And I know Cade and the Detroit Pistons also, haven't been doing that. But like, I feel like they're more of like a stout unit team where they can spread it across, and they're kind of built to do it like that. Cleveland, like, they excel on nights in which Mitchell scores 30 or plus, like when he is that main stamp. Because the dude man does take a lot of shots, he does. So it just benefits when they go in.
Yeah, I might go against the grain here, guys. I'm gonna have to go against you too, and I'm gonna take Cavs in 7.
Whoa.
Yeah, I just think the Pistons, for me, they don't do it. I don't like either team, to be honest. I don't like the makeup of either team. Like you said, Lawrence, we talked about it ad nauseum the past couple playoffs. The Twin Towers for the Cavs, they don't work. they broke up the wrong duo in terms of Garland and Mitchell. They should have broke up the other duo. They just don't work together come playoff time. And then the Pistons, outside of Cade, don't really have consistent offense. So I really don't trust them. I think tonight's game was kind of a reflection of the same thing that happened to Philly. To a lesser degree, though, I think the Cavs, were spent, winning Game 7, even though, they beat them by a lot on paper, but, going into halftime, it was a close game. And they exerted a lot of injury in that second half to kind of pull away from that. So I think it's more of that case going on in tonight's game. But I think you're right, Lawrence. Like, Mitchell has to be effective. He has to give you at least 30 a game. In the last series, he scored, I think, 30 plus in every home game besides the last one. So we gonna need that we gonna need that in terms of the Cavs. They gonna need that, at home and on the road, because they're not gonna stand a chance. Because no one else is really making consistent offense on their end either. James Harden is mostly there just to facilitate, and he's playoff James Harden. Like, you can't really expect too much from him. He doesn't really elevate his game per se. So if you're Donovan Mitchell, if you want to win the series, man, you gotta be scoring 30 plus every single game. For the Pistons side, they definitely have the defense to handle the Cavs. It's just who's going to be that consistent second guy. Like, I definitively can't say it's going to be Tobias, because Tobias is hit or miss as well. You can't say it's Thompson, because he's your, potentially your all NBA defensive guy. So that's where I'm getting at with not being those big Pistons. It's just like, who's going to score enough points? Because I know the Cavs, they can score enough points, push or shove. But can you guys score enough points? I'm not too sure. Tonight they did, but on a consistent basis, guys, I don't really see that from the Pistons. So that's why I'm leaning Cavs, but I think I could be swayed.
No, Duncan
Might
Robinson,
have to get swayed.
I agree. Like, as a second scorer, like if it's Duncan Robinson or Tobias Harris, like, but again, it's crazy. This is the 1 seed. Like, their defense and their play style, something just works, because you're so right, Markel. Like, they really don't have like the second guy where you're like, oh yeah, of course. But yeah, I think just there's something in the DNA. There's something with the closeness of the group that it's just been working for him this season.
That Duncan Robinson kid, he's really gritty, real take your lunchbox to work kind of guy.
Hey, Heat legend right there. Last series, guys. We got the Lakers, we got the Thunder. They're playing as we speak right now. I think it's a 10-point game. Just got out the first half. Lakers still don't have Luka. AR is back, though. I think he's playing full minutes now. So do the Lakers have a chance? Will they get blown out? Will they get swept? These are all questions that I'm going to have you guys answer. Who do you have winning the series, Lawrence, and how many games?
Well, I just watched Ayton miss 3 layups, so he actually looked like Angel Reese, like dead ass. As you were talking about that, he threw it up there, missed it, got the rebound. Threw it up there, missed it, got the rebound, and then threw it up there, missed it, and didn't get the rebound. Oh my god, man! It was like Angel Reese was out there. The Thunder probably win it in 4 or 5. I'm gonna go 5 to be nice, but like, I don't know if they can stop them. Like you guys said, they beat them by 20 every single game in the regular season.
Yeah.
If there was a game in which they're going to have their biggest pushback, outside of being at home, is going to be probably game 1. Because game 2, they're probably getting spanked. Game 3, they're going to give it their all. If they get spanked early, they're going to, call it quits early. And then they're going to wait for the next get back, because you can't go down in 4. But that's all saying that they lose tonight. There is a world in which they somehow win this game right here. I don't know what world that might be. The Ayton definitely needs to make a putback layup or something, whatever. He's got to do something. But yeah, probably 5. I mean, the fact of the matter that Luka may not, probably won't, offsetting, but probably won't come back. It's like big kickers,
Yeah, it's a big question mark on this series. Jacob, who do you have winning and how many games?
Okay, so you said who will win? The Thunder. You said, will they be blowouts? Yes. Will they sweep? Yes. I think that they beat them they beat them down. It's a 10-point game. If they lose by 10, then technically the Lakers will cover. I think the Thunder are going to win every single game, and they're going to be sitting and waiting for the winner of the Spurs and the Timberwolves, because this is really not a match. Even with Luka, I think if they had Luka, I could say 5 and then maybe 6. But I just think that there's a clear better team, and the clear better team is going to win every single game, I think.
Hey, I agree with you guys. I got Thunder winning. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say 5. If Luka comes back somehow in game 3, I'll probably take Thunder in 6. I think
that's all they need.
I think the only way the Lakers have a real possibility of winning the series was if Luka came into the series somewhat healthy and he could play, just because the Thunder, I believe, are still down J-Dub. So that's, one less offensive weapon for them. And then from that standpoint, it's just a matter of, can the Thunder keep up scoring-wise with the Lakers? Because if you have that three-headed monster out there scoring, each of them scoring at least 25, Luka's probably giving you 35 in the playoffs. LeBron probably giving you 25. Reeves probably giving you 25 to 30. At that point, it probably would be hard for the Thunder to kind of make up some offense. But when we're just talking about LeBron and Reeves and all the other role players, I think it's just going to be hard for the Lakers, honestly. They really don't have defenders outside of Smart, Ayton, Butterfingers, like Lauren said, looking like Angel Reese out there at times. Not much of a help going against Big Hartenstein and Big Chet. So as much as I love me some GOAT James, unfortunately, I think he's going to be gone in the second round, and the Lakers are going to be having some question marks on his roster. But shout out to JJ for beating the Rockets. I mean, Lakers weren't projected to win. Huge underdog. I know KD went down, but even the game KD played, they still got belt to ass. So I think it's a good way to end the Lakers series if season if you lose to the eventual champs. Probably something to hang your hat on.
It's a good season. I mean, just bad luck at the end with Luka and AR going down basically at the same time right before the playoffs. But overall, a good season. But how many more does LeBron have left?
Good question.
Well, Thunder do need to get rid of them early, because that other series, it ain't going long.
And that's all the series we have. We'll see how they turn out, see if our predictions are right or if they're wrong. But I feel like we're pretty spot on. I think we were only really wrong about the Celtics Sixers.
Yeah.
We were all wrong about that one, but we'll see how our predictions stack up, this round. But last but not least, we got the UFC 328 in Newark, New Jersey, at the Prudential Center, headlined by Sean Strickland and Shamev. Is that how you say his last name?
Chimaev. Yep.
And then, so I'll let you guys take it over.
Yeah, UFC 328. My birthday is March 28th, so 328 is kind of my birthday. So hopefully this will be a good card, just special to me. Very random. Sorry for that. But yeah, the former middleweight champion Sean Strickland lost his belt to Dricus du Plessis. Dricus then went and fought Khamzat Chimaev, who is undefeated. He's basically mollywopped basically everybody he's fought except for Gilbert Burns in like 2021, I think. But other than that, he's just kind of bulldozed through everybody. He's a heavy grappling, heavy ground control guy, but he also has several insane knockouts, insane finishes. This is a dude that the first time I saw him 5 years ago, I was like, I don't know how he ever loses. And he hasn't. Fighting a guy at Sean Strickland, who is a former champion, does a lot of jabbing and teeping. His game, if you watch UFC, is pretty understandable. Did beat Israel Adesanya when Izzy was the man and Izzy was the champ to get his belt. So not a guy that is a stranger to a massive upset. So Chimaev, I'm looking at the odds, is minus 575, which honestly sounds about right, to plus 425 to Strickland. We'll talk about that in a second. Also on there, the co-main event is the flyweight title fight. I think we might have talked about it. I don't remember if it got scrapped or not, but Joshua Vance just recently got the flyweight belt via injury to former champ Alejandro Pantoja. He's fighting Tatsuro Taira. The kid out of Japan, he's also been on an absolute warpath. He's an absolute beast. So yeah, the small guys are gonna be the fight before the main event. So Lawrence, Markel, what do you guys think of these two title fights, starting with Hamzat and Strickland?
Well, the Strickland, as much as I want it to be cool and fun, it really all depends on whether or not he can keep him from just tackling him to the ground and just hugging him and fighting him like there.
Yep.
I mean, that's the problem with every Chimaev fight. That's why nobody ever wants to watch him. That's why it's hard to like push him. And the fact that the dude only fights like once a year anyway. So
Yep.
if he doesn't fight anybody, and then the one time he does come out of the works to fight somebody, and then he just brings him to the ground and cuddles with him, no fun to watch. It's boring. I don't know Sean Strickland's overall like time span of not being able to be taken down, but I don't know. I feel like he's just going to get taken down. It's going to be boring, and we're going to have to watch it. Now, the other one I think would probably be more entertaining is the Tiari and Van. I mean, Van has a 5-inch reach disadvantage. Or sorry, Tiari has a 5-inch reach advantage. Or sorry, yeah, 5-inch reach advantage.
Mm.
Like that's crazy, and he's only 2 inches taller. So like, I don't know, but Van has looked crazy good. Like this dude, flyweights don't normally knock each other out. Van can get some knockouts, which I mean,
That boy can box. That boy can
yeah.
box.
But the problem is he's gonna have to get past a 5-inch reach to get the boxing going.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, look at the records on there. I mean, records don't mean as much in UFC as they do in boxing. But yeah, I mean, these are two young guys. I think Van is like 26 or 27. I mean, he's a young dude. Tyra's in his mid 20s as well. So these are two guys that we're probably going to eventually watch them in the UFC for hopefully the next 10 years. And yeah, Van was on an absolute tear and got the title shot. Won the title. Weird injury. Pantoja fell awkwardly and broke his elbow, it looked like. So he kind of won the belt against a good champion in a weird way. So this will be honestly just an exciting fight between two young guys. The thing with Josh Van that I've always liked since early on, it's his close phone booth boxing. So I don't think the reach disadvantage will hurt him as much because he likes to get inside. He's a small dude. He's only 5'5". So I think many of his previous fights, he's been the guy with the shorter reach. So his style is kind of finding his way inside, working. Once he gets inside, my favorite thing with Joshua Van is the body shots. The mean, vicious body shots that you always wonder, why don't guys do this more often? Because those suckers add up. Those are just bonus points that are putting that eventual damage that works the cardio to the opponent. It just kind of tires and gasses them out and also takes away from their strikes that they're going to throw. So I personally think Josh Van's one of my guys. I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. This Tyra kid is really, really good. I mean, he just beat Brandon Moreno, who's a flyweight GOAT, or at least in the GOAT conversation there. I think Josh Van, if this fight goes all 5 rounds, I think Joshua Van gets his hand raised. I can see Tatsuro Taira potentially getting a weird submission, but Josh Van also has really good takedown defense. So kind of similar to the main event where it is going to be like if so and so can get the guy to the ground, he's probably going to win. If they stand and they bang, then it's anyone's fight. But there's no way I'm not going to take my guy Josh Van out of Houston, Texas. And then, like you said, Lawrence too with the main event, Strickland does have good takedown defense. He always has. He's never been submitted before. He's never had a submission attempt against him, which is crazy considering some of the guys he fought. His first fight in the UFC was UFC 171, and that was in 2016. 10 years later, he's headlining 328. So this is definitely a journeyman. He started from the bottom, got all the way to the top, fell off from the top, and he's working his way back. If you remember when he fought Fluffy Hernandez, we all picked Fluffy Hernandez because he was on an 8-fight win streak, and then Strickland went out there and knocked him out in the 3rd round. So, again, this is not a guy that is a stranger to being the underdog, but Hamzat is just too dominant. I've never seen this guy lose. Nobody has. I don't think it's possible. It'd be a hilarious story if Strickland was able to take the throne, but I think I'm going to keep both champions to retain on Saturday night. But going also in that fight, the 3rd fight down, so the 2 champ fights aside, some big boys going at it. We have number 2 heavyweight in the world, Alexander Volkov, who I believe is like 6'7", coming out of Russia, fighting Waldo Salsa Boy Cortez Acosta out of the Dominican Republic. So Waldo has been absolutely on tear. He just knocked out Derek Lewis. Volkov's also won a bunch of fights in a row. These are both two dudes that I don't want to hype it up too much, but I mean, if we get the fight we're expecting, someone's going to lay on their back and someone's going to have their arm in the air. So, what's your early read on these two big guys?
I think this fight's going to be sick. I think the advantage for Volkov is he's been around for a while. He's going to be harder to like land on, as Derek Lewis wasn't, to get that heavy knockout like Waldo likes.
Right.
Just because of the way his fight style is. He always keeps his head kind of out of the way, and then he just lets those fucking hands blow. And as Derek Lewis had Waldo wobbling. Now we know that man has knockout power, but like Derek Lewis also doesn't always fight with the most beautiful technique. And Volkov, he do be fighting with some really good technique. And the last thing I'll push for him to like win this fight, he's finally gotten all the way back up to number 2. He's 37 years old. By the time this fight happens, he'll be like, let's see, by the time he can fight again, he'll be 38 almost, because he's 37 in 6 months, according to Tapology. He wants to be fighting for a championship or the belt. He wants to have that chance before he goes out, because he is like, well, just like the other guys, he is a journeyman. I mean, if you go look at his fight history, he fought Will Harris. That's old. I remember when Will Harris was around. Anyway.
So who do you like? Who do you think?
I'm going to go take Volkov. I just think that it's just, I would say like it's some fighters, they just have like these times and their moments. I feel like he's completely locked in. And it was the fight. What was the fight of recent that he had? The Povovich one. There's Sergey Pavlovich.
Yep.
When he won that fight, I was just kind of hooked. I was like, all right, I think he might be pretty good. I think he's good. And if we pay attention to him, that guy has beat Waldo. So he's beating the guy that's beating Waldo.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that fight because that was right after Tom Aspinall knocked out Pavlovich, who at the time we thought was unstoppable. And then the Volkov fight was his fight return from that. So we still thought he was the man, and then he looked not great, and Volkov got the job done. He fought Cyril Gane, who is in that weird limbo now at the top with, fighting the champion, then losing via eye poke. So, that was a split decision. I thought Volkov won at the time. Gane obviously did win. So, like you said, he's right there at the top. The heavyweight top of that is all mucked up with Aspinall being hurt and Cyril Gane fighting Alex Pereira at the White House. So, I think the winner of this fight is probably next in line for the fight that's going to be next in line, just because it is kind of backed up. I'm going to go with the underdog here. I think I like Alexander Volkov. Like you said, journeyman's been around a long time. I've been watching this dude fight forever. But I think Waldo Salsa Boy is just, there's something about him. I mean, he's knocked out. He's won some impressive fights. Obviously, Volkov's been only fighting at the top, but I mean, kind of coming out of nowhere and beating Andre Delia, first round knockout, getting Shamil Gaziev, who he just got 1 minute 20-second knockout, and then that was all November of last year, and then he came back in January and fought Derek Lewis this year, second round knockout. So I mean, in the last in that 2.5 month span, I mean, he knocked out 3 ranked heavyweights all within the first 2 rounds. So
to be fair, the Shamil is kind of trash. And
he did just lose, but when they fought, Shamil was a guy.
He did look kind of. I thought that fight kind of proved that he wasn't that good because he looked really bad.
I thought it was the opposite. I remember betting on Shamil, and then when
I remember betting on Shamil too, and then being very disappointed by his performance because it was very lethargic and he literally just got taken apart like it was nothing. Like he went out there, got paid to get his ass beat like a ragdoll.
I think it's UFC, man. Anything can happen, and I mean, these are heavyweights, so of course anything can happen anytime. But especially when you're talking about 265-pound dudes, I just think Waldo's really, really powerful, and he's got a ton of momentum behind his back. And granted, like you said, Volkov is getting up there in age, and Waldo's kind of hitting his prime right now. He's on a big streak, and I can see the underdog winning this one here. But like we said at the beginning, like it should be a good fight because unlike the first two fights where it's going to be like if a guy can get the guy on the ground, this is going to be a fight that's most likely going to be standing for the majority of the 15 minutes. So just to close out the main card here, another fight in the welterweight division. Sean Brady, wrestling jiu-jitsu specialist. I think he was ranked number 2 in the world, and then he went out and fought Morales, and Morales absolutely pieced him up. So he dropped down to 6. He's fighting Joaquin Buckley, who's another collegiate wrestler, also known for his insane knockouts. I mean, that one most famous knockout of all time with the spinning back kick while he was in clinch was absolutely insane. So it should be an interesting fight here. If Brady can get Buckley down and potentially submit him, I can see Sean Brady walking away with a decision. I could also see Joaquin Buckley absolutely knocking the shit out of Sean Brady because Sean Brady did get knocked out by Morales and also before that Bilal Muhammad, who has pillow hands, confirmed. So I kind of like Sean Brady here to get back on track and just kind of play a more safe, very ground heavy, kind of boring 15-minute decision here. What do you got, Lawrence?
I kind of have the same thing, and I don't even think there's going to be like a lot of output because Buckley also has a wrestling background, so I feel like they're just going to be, cuddling with each other most of the fight. And I think Brady is more technically gifted in terms of submissions on the ground. I think Buckley's just really got that wrestling background in order to escape and get it back onto the fisticuffs. And I think Sean Brady knows that that's not the fight he fights anymore. I don't know if he ever did it really, really at all, but after the Morales fight, man's don't got square up with young Buck kind of hands because Buckley will just drop him out of nowhere. If Morales can drop him out of nowhere, Buckley can drop him out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Joaquin Buckley's got that power in his hands. Closing out the main card, we have my boy Bobby Green, now known as King Green because he legally changed his name from Bobby to King.
Yeah, Bobby.
For me, it'll always be Bobby Green. He's fighting UFC longtime vet Jeremy Stevens, who is famous for a lot of reasons, but he will set the record for most consecutive losses in the UFC if he loses with 10, which is just not a record that you really want to hold. I don't think this dude's won a fight in the UFC since like 2015 or something. Like, if I'm not wrong, he's the who the fuck is that guy via McGregor? Am I right?
I think so.
Yeah, I could be wrong, chat. Let me know. But I think Jeremy Stevens made his money by asking, to fight Conor, and Conor absolutely buried his soul in his life. And then he lost a bunch of fights in a row. He was out of the UFC for a while. He came back last year in triumphant fashion. Lost.
He won a fight in the PFL against Miles Pierce recently. Price.
Yeah, because we all know who Miles Price is. And for whatever reason, he's getting a main card slot with King Green. King Green just won his last fight, I think, against Zellhuber. I'm not looking it up right now, so I'm just going off guess. King Green,
15-19 in UFC.
His record is 15-19.
He's 15-19 in UFC all time.
That wasn't the record. The record was 20 losses. No UFC fighter has ever had 20 losses in the UFC. So yeah, that's his record, not the 10 in a row losses. By my apologies, Jeremy Stevens.
Wait, so did they actually bring him back just to do this to him? Because he just lost in bare knuckle boxing recently. Oh no, he fought Mason Jones recent. Never mind.
Yeah, I think So I don't know why they brought. I mean, he is a sell because he does fight a very fun style. And if you're going to pick a guy to match him up with a fun style, Bobby Green, who has his hands next to his thighs and his knees, bro has a very interesting style when they do like the wrestler or boxer, like it just says street for Bobby Green, and he fights a very interesting and fun style. I think Bobby Green puts it on Jeremy Stevens here and gives him his 20th loss in the UFC, which is a record.
Well, his last win was at UFC on Fox 28 against Josh Emmett in the second round by punches.
Oh shit!
He won performance of the night.
What year was that?
2018.
Jeez,
February.
Over 8 years ago.
His last fight night was against Yair Rodriguez on 2019. Yeah, so he has not done anything in the last.
And now he's the main card of that
Yeah,
number.
and King Green, he hasn't had performance of the night in a while either. I thought he would have had one for Zellhuber.
Yeah, he knocked the shit out of him. That was nice.
His last performance of the night was in 2023 against Grant Dawson. But yeah, he's on a 2-fight win streak against Lance Gibson and Daniel Hellzuber. Yeah, it was Zellhuber.
Yeah.
He barely took any damage in that fight too. Oh, he'd be fine.
Yeah, I like if you're building a parlay, I like Bobby Green as just a filler there at minus 320. Just toss that in. That's decent value. It should be a fun fight, though. I think King Green's definitely going to knock him out or do something spectacular. In terms of the prelims, keep an eye out on Atuba Gaultier, just because this dude knocks out everyone. He's minus 1,100, so that should tell you like he's probably going to beat the shit out of his opponent. The welterweight fight with Asimov and Alvarez should be good. Could potentially be boring. But I also want to shout out Jim Miller. He's fighting Jared Gordon, who is a good fighter. But Jim Miller's like 58 years old. This is like his 51st or 52nd UFC fight. Holds the record for most cage time and most UFC fights. So anytime he fights, love him, love Jim Miller. You never know when it's going to be the last time we see him. And then the prospect to watch for this one for me, keep an eye on Grant Dawson. He's got a really good record. His only loss, I'm pretty sure, was Bobby Green a couple years ago, and he's been on a war path ever since then. So he's going to be a guy climbing up that.
He just lost to Manuel Torres.
Oh, he lost to Manuel Torres. That's right. He got his ass knocked out too. That was the end of last year. Mm-hmm. All right, so look for Grant Dawson to bounce back because he needs to. Because at one point he was a hot prospect, but yeah, you were right. He did just lose.
He's still a hot prospect though.
Becky's had a fight of the year before. I'm pretty sure that was his fight at the Spear with Orlabi, the dude that looks like a caged monkey.
It might be fight of the night because Rebecca or whatever his name is, Rebecca. He's got the last 3 fight of the nights on the cardies. So the Orlabi, he got fight of the night. Then he got a fight night with Chris Duncan at UFC Fight Night 2025, and then October 25th, 2025 against Ludwig Klein on UFC 321 at Aspinall versus Gane. He also got performance of the night. So this man's racked in 3 in a row.
And he lost 2 of those fights. So it's basically like this dude has fun fights. And Grant Dawson's one of those dudes that's going to come at you. So I think this is going to be a fun one. Grant Dawson's a big prospect. And like you said, Rebecca's just in good fights. His last 3 fights all won bonuses. Now the bonuses are double what they were back then. So I'm sure he's going to be win, lose, or draw. He's going to be doing everything he can. I remember the fight with Orlabi because they literally just stood there and just beat the shit out of each other. I think either Rebecca or Orlabi had the inside of their eyebrows, like not their eyebrows, but like straight above your nose, like cut completely open. It was like a 6 centimeter like gash. You could see his brain, and it was just an absolute war. So yeah, keep an eye out for that fight. Just go scrolling through here. I haven't even looked at the card yet. Like this is a deep card because you have Jim Miller and Jared Gordon starting in the actual prelims. Kopolov on the early prelims with.
Yeah, but Pat Sabatini is also in the early prelims. That's crazy. I feel like his name isn't that far away being that decent.
Another prospect to keep your eye on, man. Clayton Carpenter opening up the card. Fly guy at 125. I came off the Contender Series, I'm pretty sure. I like this guy's style. He's got a good backstory and gives a good interview. So, yeah, there's and then the next fight is Hamzat's boy. I can't pronounce his name, but the Bongswar Circus Kayev, the dude fighting Santos, like he also minus 600, a big favorite. But he came off the Contender Series last year and then begged Dana to give him a fight in the UFC the next week. So he literally had 2 fights in 2 weeks and won them both. So that's another guy out of Russia that's to keep an eye on because this card's pretty nice, man. Because there's depth. Like the top 5 is pretty good, minus the
he fought 4 nights later against Eric Nolan,
and he beat the shit out of him too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and that guy doesn't have. Well, that guy's 0-1 in the UFC and doesn't have a fight again. So Eric Nolan's not any good.
Yeah, then he came out against Eric Moicano and got a late knockout there too. So yeah, he's got 2 UFC fights under his belt. He's training partners with Hamzat, so it makes sense that they're both on the same card, numbered event together. But Yeah, this card has some early prospects. The Sabatini Gomes fight, couple veterans, Kopolov's on there, and then the prelims are full of you got the old guys to kick it off, and then that banger prospect fight with Dawson, and then Rebecca, who just doesn't not have a good fight, all the way up to the main card with 3 good fights, and then 2 title fights to close this off. Yeah, this should be a very fun card.
In terms of rankings, though, it's actually kind of funny to see that Pat Sabatini is one of the highest ranked people and is in the early prelims because he has a higher rank in the UFC flyweight division than anyone in the entire prelims. He's technically 12th in UFC in the featherweight division. So, like, that's pretty entertaining that man is that far low on the totem pole. I'm just trying to look at the 2 people fighting because, I don't even know who he's fighting. Oh, but he's 5-1 in UFC. Pretty cool. Pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Gomes do that at France. Yeah, he's pretty good.
I think it's going to be a cool card.
Yeah, should be fun. That'll be, I think that starts at 5 o'clock on the East Coast. 5 o'clock for the earlies, 7 o'clock for the prelims, and then 9 p.m. For the main card. Main event should be around 11:45 midnight.
Can't wait for this. And then next month we got UFC 250 or Freedom 250. So we get some good UFC action in the next month or so. Very exciting stuff. Anything else before we close on out? I know we got NHL playoffs going on as well. Jacob, do you have any updates there?
Yeah, shout out to my Buffalo Sabres. Like I said before, hadn't made the playoffs since 2011. Hadn't won a playoff series since 2007. Got past Boston in the first round. Super excited about it. Had a good celebration over the weekend. Next up for us is the Canadiens a Montreal. That series starts tomorrow. It's actually the only series in the second round that hasn't started yet. Carolina's up 2-0 on Philadelphia already. Golden Knights got the opening win last night, and the Colorado Avalanche are up 1-0, and it's looking like it's going to be 2-0 after tonight as well. So keep an eye out on Colorado and Carolina, as those are probably the 2 of the best teams in the league so far. And they were both number 1s in the East and the West, so those are probably your 2 favorites heading into it. But shout out to the Sabres and shout out to hockey. Playoff hockey is the best.
Lawrence, anything to add there? Anything else you got before we head on out?
Not much to add. I will say Lakers are trying their best, and they're within 8 right now. But you take a look, a quick view at the game log. Somehow Austin Reeves has 4 points, 1 for 11 shooting.
Oof.
Has a -7 point minus differential, and there's still players on his team that have lower plus minus differential. Like, this man is out there putting up 0, like nothing, and he still has a better stat line or plus minus than Hachimura, Kennard, and Haynes. So, like, only old boy just came back with the ability to shoot.
I say, if he had a decent game, how close would the score be?
Dude, he's 1 for 11, so he just makes 2 more, just 2 baskets, man. It'd be a 1-score game.
But yeah, I'd say 1 score or a 4 to 5 maybe.
Yeah. It's an 8-point game, so like he makes 2 threes, it's a 1-point game. Or he makes a 3 and a 5, or 2 and a 3, it's 5. It's a 1-point game. Or 1 score, sorry.
All right, well, with that being said, guys, we'll see you later this week. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, and all other avenues. Episode 236, Sideline Brief Podcast. We'll see you later this week.